Welcome. Welcome to our event as part of Victorian Law Week 2025. Get ePrepared, a free self-help tool to help Australians save their important documents electronically. Very grateful that you're joining us this afternoon. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land which I'm joining you from today. I'm very grateful to be on Wurundjeri and Woiwurrung land, and I pay my respect to their elders past and present. I extend my respect to First Nations people who may be here with us today, and I thank you for your continuous care of country. I acknowledge that this land was, is, and always will be Aboriginal land. I'd like to start by introducing the people you'll be hearing from today. My name is Emily, my pronouns are she, they, and I'm the head of engagement at Justice Connect. We like to think of our engagement team as the bridge between our organisation, Justice Connect, and the people and community organisations who want to know about us and how we can help them. Our goal is to help people engage with the legal system and navigate their legal issues in a way that makes sense to them and empowers them to make the best, most informed decisions for their circumstances. I'm joined today by my colleague Lisa Morgan, who is the project lead of Get ePrepared, who you'll be hearing from shortly. Now, before we start, just a brief moment of housekeeping. At Justice Connect, we create tools to be used by and shared with anyone in our community. And as such, we're going to record today's session. And by recording the session, we'll be able to offer it to people who can't join us today. And it will allow you to revisit this content again in your own time. You'll receive a link to the recording in the days following our session, and we encourage you to share it with family, friends, colleagues, or anyone who may be interested in what we cover today. The topic of today's session, Get ePrepared, it's a tool that considers the digital world and legal matters. So we expect that many of you will have questions. What we offer today is going to be general information as it relates to Get ePrepared. And we encourage you to add your questions to the Zoom chat where they'll be noted by our Justice Connect team. And we've allowed some time at the end of our session to respond to as many of those questions as possible. If we can't get to your question today, we'll also provide an email address that you can contact us at, and we'll be able to provide an answer by email along with the Zoom recording following our event this afternoon. As always, Justice Connect welcomes curiosity and feedback, so please feel free to email us. At the end of the session, we're also going to share the best contact details for queries related to Get ePrepared. But we did want to specify that this session contains general information and it's not legal information or legal advice. If you are experiencing an issue and you would like legal help, you can apply for help online by visiting help.justiceconnect.org.au. Now, before we jump in, we have a very short poll that we would like to ask you to help us understand a little bit more about who's joining us today. If you could please take a moment to answer whether you are an individual from the community, maybe a lawyer working in the sector, a volunteer or staff member from a community organisation, or maybe you're someone else. You can make a choice by selecting an item on your screen and then clicking submit, and it'll help us understand who's here in the room today. All right, wonderful. We have 45% of people from the community, which is wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. 3% are lawyers working in the sector, and 33% are volunteers or staff members from a community organisation, and 18% someone else. So thank you for answering that. It really helps us understand how we can make sure that the content we're covering today is relevant and interesting to you. So what are we covering today? We're going to start with a little bit of scene setting. We'll explain who Justice Connect is, as well as laying out some of the ideas that inspired us to create Get ePrepared. Lisa is then going to take you through Get ePrepared itself and show you how it can help you and the people you're working with to learn how to save electronic copies of their documents. We'll then go through a few frequently asked questions that we've received since launching Get ePrepared. And from there, it's your turn to get involved. We'll provide ways for you to take action to get ePrepared yourself, and then open up the floor to your questions. If this is your first time hearing about Justice Connect, we are a social justice organisation who design and deliver high-impact interventions to increase access to legal support and progress social justice. We were established in 2013 after the merger of the Victorian and the New South Wales public interest law clearinghouses. So our story involves over 30 years of experience in connecting people and community groups who need legal help to lawyers through our network of over 10,000 pro bono lawyers across the country. We don't just connect people with legal help. We use the power of the law to open up the legal system for those locked out of it and fight to change the system where it is broken. We provide specialist legal help and support to a range of communities, including people experiencing or at risk of homelessness, older people experiencing elder abuse, not-for-profit organisations, people representing themselves in court, and communities impacted by disasters, including individuals, small business owners, primary producers, and community organisations. Justice Connect has built a strong award-winning reputation in digital innovation to scale our reach and our impact. Since 2017, we've built a number of digital tools to link the people in need of help with those who can offer it. Some of the tools that you might recognise or maybe you'd like to explore further are Dear Landlord, which helps Victorian renters who are behind in rent learn about their rights and their options to stay safely housed in their rental property. Our self-help tools for not-for-profit organisations, which help community organisations learn about their legal obligations and generate documents that can help them navigate the law. Or the Workers Resource Hub, which is a library of plain language resources for caseworkers in Victoria to help them identify and navigate legal issues that their clients experiencing homelessness may be facing. So we use technology to bring the law to more people. This allows us to reach thousands of people every year who may otherwise go without legal support. In the disaster space, we've seen that across Australia, disasters fueled by climate change, they continue to intensify. And with every flood or bushfire or cyclone that our communities experience, more and more people are plunged into loss, uncertainty, and legal problems. Recent research from the Victorian Law Foundation has revealed people affected by disasters are twice as likely to have 5 or more legal problems. And those problems are more likely to last longer. That's why we were contributing to building a more connected, empowered, and responsive disaster legal assistance system. And there's a number of ways that we do this, from providing free legal help in person and online, developing plain language self-help resources that help people understand their rights and their options, and offering free access to technology so that other community legal centres can tap into our network of pro bono lawyers to connect their clients to free help. We also partner with some statewide disaster response services like Disaster Legal Help Victoria here in Victoria. Some of the most common areas of legal problems that people experience in disasters and emergencies include insurance issues, especially around understanding your policy coverage and negotiating with insurers. Tenancy issues, including what happens if your rental property is impacted by a disaster. Property law issues, including rights of access to farming land in emergencies, rights to restoration after use of property by emergency services, managing deceased estates or issues with wills or powers of attorney, damage to assets like machinery or crops or livestock, and financial issues, so credit, debt, bankruptcy matters, access to government grants and funding support or compensation schemes, and employment law, for example, safety or redundancies, insolvencies, or disputes. So in July 2023, we embarked on a new project, which was generously supported by Telstra, to help solve a problem we were seeing time and time again, which is that people don't know where to start when legally preparing for disasters. And on top of this, there are people who are being left behind because they don't have the access or confidence or skills to make use of online services that can help. So together we came up with a bold vision of building the digital capacity of 55,000 Australians to help them better legally prepare for disasters. 1 in 4 people in Australia are digitally excluded, and the impacts of digital exclusion are not felt equally. People with lower levels of income, education, or employment, as well as people living in regional areas, people aged over 65, and people with a disability are at particular risk of being left behind. This is very much a social justice issue. Digital inclusion means ensuring that people can use the internet and technology to improve their daily lives. But people need to have the right access, the right affordability, and the right ability to participate in the online world. We believe that our community must do everything it can to ensure everyone has the opportunity to benefit from what the digital world has to offer. So it's time for one more Zoom poll. If you could please take a moment, and if you feel comfortable sharing, would you tell us how confident you feel online? Maybe you're someone who you usually need someone to help you do a few things online, or maybe you can do a few things online by yourself if you've been shown how to do them before, or you can use most websites by yourself even if you've never used them before, or maybe you feel really confident online and you can even show others how to do things. Amazing. Thank you so much for answering that. So we have 56% of you are very confident online and can show others how to do things, which is wonderful. You are very much the type of people that we love working with to help spread the message about Get ePrepared. 33% can use most websites, even if they've never used them before. 8% can do a few things online by themselves, and 3% usually need some help to get things done online. So with Get ePrepared, we had an opportunity to bring together a really exciting connection between our areas of expertise and impact. We see firsthand that legal need only increases after a disaster, and disasters are becoming more and more common. So put simply, there's more people who need help and they need help more often. We also know that access to justice means so much more than making sure people are connected to a lawyer. It also means preventing legal problems, increasing legal literacy, and improving people's experience of solving legal problems when they do occur. That's where legal preparedness comes in, because if you're able to take the steps to make sure you're prepared if you experience disaster-related legal issues, your outcomes can be dramatically improved. And finally, technology, it offers more and more opportunities as more people become comfortable with online environments. But as we've just covered, we're also seeing that digital divide grow. And as more people get online, the same communities are getting locked out of digital participation. We're starting to see the flow-on effects in access to legal services in return. So these three factors came together in 2023 when Justice Connect joined with Telstra to increase the digital inclusion of 55,000 Australians. We started speaking to people who had been impacted by a disaster and asking what could have helped you when you needed it most. And from there, Get ePrepared was born. So I'm going to hand over now to Lisa, who will walk you through Get ePrepared.
Thanks so much for joining us for Victorian Law Week in 2025. As Emily mentioned, I am the project lead for Get ePrepared. I'm joining you for today's session from the traditional lands of the Briakalong people of the Gunai-Kurnai Nation, and would also like to pay my respects. So that weather discussion earlier today, you are spot on. It is freezing to the bone in Gippsland in Victoria. What I'd like to do now is have another poll, but this time it's an attempt to understand more about how confident you are in your work around making electronic copies of your important documents. So you very well might be like me. You might have a few documents like your license or passport scanned or available digitally in case you need them at any one point. You may even have being someone who's extremely diligent and got it all under control. Or you might be like the majority of people who we've met in the research for this work in Get ePrepared, where you don't have any of your electronic copies made up in relation to your legal documents. So I'll let you have a look at that for now. Ooh, it's looking good. You'll see me glance to the left. It's because, as always, we have two screens to try and keep us on track. I can see we've got some good results coming through there. So it looks like the majority of our group today have got some, but not all of their documents transferred to electronic copies. That's a good start. And you'll hear a little bit more today about the process we take to try and reassure people that they can learn these skills and how to do that themselves. But you'll hear from us later today too about how you can help others do this well. Thank you. Whether you're an individual family, small business owner, or a primary producer, the impacts of disaster are very traumatic and can be long lasting. Being able to access many of the services and supports to help you and your community start the long road to recovery means that you often need to be able to prove who you are, where you live, and what you own. This requirement can be one of the first barriers people face in their recovery journey, as important identity and legal documents are often the casualty of disaster. As you can imagine, they can get easily lost or damaged in disasters, and not being able to access them can increase the likelihood of complex legal problems arising or a delay in recovery, as Emily talked about earlier. This is the premise that led to us creating Get ePrepared, which is an online tool. Someone asked earlier about whether it's Victoria only. It's actually across Australia, and that's why we went for an online tool that could get good reach across Australia. And it's a tool that guides people in how to create electronic copies of your important documents so you can access them anytime and anywhere. As we talked about before, Justice Connect is focused on using digital technology as a tool to help people identify their legal issues and then in turn be connected to the information and support that they require. Get ePrepared, which you can see scrolling through on your screen now, is one of our latest tools. The original version of this, or version 1 as we refer to, was released in January 2024. Some of you may have seen it in last year's Law Week events, but we were talking at that time around how it was co-designed with Australians who've been impacted by disaster, and they've been so kind to share their experience with us, and it's shaped our work. The original key elements remain the same. So we have the three key elements to get ePrepared, which are understanding why and where to store your documents, understanding what documents to store, understanding how to store these documents and being guided in how to do so. And as many Australians now face that unpredictable threat of disaster, and those disasters are things like floods, fires, cyclones, pandemics, Get ePrepared is a tool that we've created to help people prepare before those experiences as best they can to limit legal problems arising or being exacerbated in disaster, because sometimes it can get worse. Version 2 is what you're seeing on the screen now. It was released in September 2024. It was after having our first 6 months of Get ePrepared version 1 operating. We had a lot of generous offers of feedback. We got a lot of data that we were able to look at, and we worked with an external consultant in July of last year to see what improvements we could make to better encourage people to use Get ePrepared, but also to make it a quality experience as well. So when we did the evaluation, it indicated to us that we needed to make one change in particular quite quickly, and we did that early, even before we released V2, and that was we created something called a Remind Me Later function. So that allows users to opt in to being reminded to return and complete these actions and Get ePrepared at a later time. We know that there's a lot of time that we ask for in using this tool, and people may not be ready to go ahead straight away. So we found that the Remind Me Later function, which is at the bottom of that screen, was one where people could identify, I'll be ready to do this, but not right now. Let me see if I can come back in 1, 3, or 6 months and register for a reminder at that time. And then people get an email prompt. We've had some good feedback about that. People are like, oh, great, I had forgotten about that. Thanks very much, and have returned. So that's been a quick feature that we added. The bigger changes that we made to version 2 of Get ePrepared was following the key themes that came out of that evaluation. And it was about making sure that the site itself was easier to navigate, and it was simpler imagery. So not so much words, just an easier way to see what I was looking for, and clear identifications of what action you could take and how to do that quite easily. So things like on our buttons, and as we move through Get ePrepared, it's things like copy now, or moving on through here rather than just download, in other words that are traditionally very digital language. The changes that we made also amplified how users could share Get ePrepared with others, and our FAQ was updated with further information to support users to build their confidence with the digital tool. Ever since version 1 of Get ePrepared, we have remained true to understanding what it is that important documents are. So the first part of Get ePrepared is about determining what important documents to store, and we understand that that can be extremely overwhelming. So we, within Get ePrepared, made sure that a key component of Get ePrepared was helping people walk through this process. So we've worked with both people with a lived experience of disaster, lawyers that we have connections to, and what we've done is got them to suggest documents that may be useful in an emergency. People can step through Get ePrepared. At the first point, it's very much a checklist that you can interact with, and it is an ability for you to consider your own circumstances whilst you're answering a number of anonymous questions. You click through those elements as you go, and you're able to navigate through step by step things like what you would expect: license, birth certificates, etc. It moves on to things like the utilities, some information about house or rentals, and even what's often surprising for people, it even helps you be prompted for, say, registration documents for animals that you may need to relocate in those disasters as well. When you work through the click-through, it will create for you a unique checklist that you can either download or you can use as a reference yourself to then start to work through the documents that you need to digitize. Get ePrepared continues to remind you throughout the process of some things to be mindful of. One of those is there's a number of important legal elements, including being mindful of if you've had a name change, so if you've been married or you've gone back to a maiden name, or if there's been some other change that's meant that your actual name has changed, you'll also be encouraged to digitize a copy of any change of name documents. So things like a marriage certificate, change of name certificate, or change of name statement. Another consideration is that different organisations and authority may require their own combination of documents to be satisfied with the level of proof of identity. What we did in version 2 was we built in a calculator that helped people establish a generic understanding of how many points they have with the different types of documentation they have. Interesting, in our data, we've seen that over 70% of people usually have 80% or 80 points or above on their documents, which is really quite reassuring. But it is also reminding people throughout the experience with Get ePrepared to make sure, if you can, to get your documents certified, and that's a common question we get. Get ePrepared has a lot of tips and tricks around how you would do that, or the best place to go to find more information about that. Get ePrepared is very much focused on teaching people about the crucial information associated with documents before it's too late, and it's very much focused on making sure that this work is done in preparation for a disaster. One of the things that we like to be really clear about is Get ePrepared is not an app or a storage tool itself. It doesn't hold any of the documents for you, and it doesn't hold any identifying information of any of its users. It's a guide or a coach for users, and it offers guidance in a simple language and supports individuals step by step through the actions they can take to prepare. It's very much about walk beside, not do for, and it definitely doesn't hold anybody's information. The first step is thinking about where to store documents electronically. Get ePrepared focuses on the 4 of the most common storage options that are easily available to most Australians, things like the USB, email, cloud, or a device. And when we say device, we are talking about computer or your phone. Get ePrepared asks the user to choose a solution that works best for them. It doesn't dictate or identify the preferred option. It says very much, here's the pros and cons of each option. You go ahead and make your choice. And part of that is some people will prefer to have a physical item with them, such as a USB or a device that they can carry with them. Or some people will prefer there to be the online option with cloud or email that can be accessed on any device. And what we're hearing more and more from people is they're choosing more than one storage option. Get ePrepared very much focuses on you making a choice in which option you want to go with. And when we talk about those sometimes using one or more options, we know that there's things like power outages. Internet can be hard to access in the middle of a disaster. And we also know that that can influence your access to your documents, and that can be incredibly frustrating. Very much what we're talking about in Get ePrepared is ideally being able to have as many options as possible to prove who you are, particularly if you do lose those documents, as we said before, which is quite common, if they're destroyed or if they're misplaced during that disaster. Looking at what we have here, you'll meet Sandra, you'll meet Joy, Jack, and the nuance. They're all here to help those users who are trekking through Get ePrepared. They're guides for users so that they can go step by step through the process of digitizing their important documents. Sandra is someone who focuses on using a device, whether it be their computer, phone, or a tablet. Joy leads users through cloud processes. Jack shares the process of using a USB or a portable hard drive, and the nuens show users how they can use their own email as a storage option. This is really the heart of Get ePrepared. People are encouraged to follow the steps set out for the storage option they've chosen. So say, for instance, in that previous pros and cons, they've decided they want to go ahead and use a USB, they would follow Jack. If they wanted to go through and do email, they'd follow the nuens. Users can do this on their own, that's the intention, or with the assistance of family and friends and others to support in their community. I liked seeing there was a lot of people participating today who feel relatively confident with digital tools. I want you to remember we're very much about how can you help other people do this as well, because not everybody is that confident. When people work through the guides or choose any of these four, they're encouraged to go at their own pace, pause, go back, take time, return, and do it wherever they're comfortable. Are they comfortable doing it at home? Are they comfortable doing it with others, etc.? We have, after some significant interest built into Get ePrepared, the opportunity for people to come together as small groups to do this work with people they know and familiar with and trust. And that is what we're describing as a group session. And then what we've got within that is that it's focusing on the fact that Get ePrepared is a tool that's designed for any Australian. And unfortunately, with the rise of emergencies, it's getting more and more important to take this action and make sure we're as prepared as we can be for any potential legal problems that could arise. When we talk about the guides, and as we said, you'll get familiar with Sandra, Joy, Jack, and the nuens. Each of them lead the user through the interactive list that we talked about before, and you can see that scrolling through on your screen now. It allows a user to select the guidance based on the technology that they have, or for some, they'll choose to do this in their community centres or libraries, so they'll take steps based on what's available to them at the time. The guidance for each of those storage options considers two of the most common ways to make a copy of your documents. So it's things like, for some of you, you might find it really simple, but taking a photo or using a scanner to make a copy, and that's on digital cameras, that's on phones, and also scanners, as we know, in their form of mainly libraries, community centres, etc. will have the standalone scanner available as well. Through taking these steps to make those electronic copies of important documents within an emergency, people are usually learning valuable digital skills. That's the whole intent behind Get ePrepared, is a very important topic, helping people learn how to increase their digital skills and build their confidence in using technology and engaging in the online world. I imagine all of you understand that more and more Australians are asked to participate in online processes, to engage with government agencies, health and education services, and by learning these skills within Get ePrepared, we're helping them build their confidence and through the positive experience of using Get ePrepared. When we looked at the people that would be using Get ePrepared, we had to think about the breadth of our audience. We wanted to design something that appealed to many people with varying levels of comfort with online tools and different types of learning, so learning styles. So we have added an option for users to listen to the guided steps via an audio file as well. One of the benefits associated with the audio file is a user can pause, work through each of the individual steps, and then continue with the audio when they are ready to move on. How about we have a bit of a listen to Jack now and see how he offers the support to people on their journey through using Get ePrepared.
Hi there, I'm Jack. I'm going to walk you through how you can use your USB to save electronic copies of your important documents in one place. Being able to quickly access these documents when you need them most can help you feel more prepared and protected. It can also make it easier to navigate any legal problems that might follow after an emergency. If you've chosen your USB as your preferred storage solution, all you'll need to get started is a USB, a phone with a camera, and a computer or tablet. You will also have the option to use a scanner. First, I'll run you through the steps to follow if you're using your phone's camera to make copies of your documents. Start by picking up the first document you're going to make an electronic copy of. If you don't know what documents you should be making copies of, you can use the Get ePrepared checklist to build a list that's relevant to your circumstances. Open your phone's camera and take a photo of the front of your document. Next, turn over the document and take a photo of the back if it's a double-sided document. Now, you're going to save these photos to the right location. Open your phone's photo album. Select the 2 latest photos you've just taken. Click Share. Your share icon might look different depending on your phone. Look for something that looks like an arrow or an arrow within a square. Transfer your photos to your computer, either by emailing it to yourself or connecting your phone to a computer with a cable. Plug your USB into your computer. Select your USB's folder in your computer's File Explorer. Drag your document into the USB's folder. Alternatively, you can make a copy of your photos and paste them into the USB's folder. If you don't have a phone with a camera, or you don't have a phone at all, you can use a scanner to make copies of your documents. You can ask your local library if they have a scanner you can use. Taking your first document, place it face down on the scanner. If the document is small, such as a license, add a blank sheet of white paper on top. Press the scan button on your scanner. Then follow the instructions on your scanner or computer to complete the scan. Once the file is scanned, you can save it to the right location on your computer. Plug your USB into your computer. Select your USB's folder in your computer's File Explorer. Drag your document into the USB's folder. Alternatively, you can make a copy of your scanned document and paste it into the USB's folder. Congratulations! You've just made your first electronic copy of a document. All you have to do next is repeat the process for any other important documents you want to keep a copy of. Remember, you can use Get ePrepared's checklist to find out which documents are important for your own circumstances. You can also learn about other options for storage solutions, like using your device like your phone, computer, or tablet, using your emails, or using the cloud. Justice Connect is here to help. If you have a legal problem and you need help, Justice Connect might be able to connect you with a lawyer for free. For more information, click the Get Help in My Area button on this website.
Lisa, sorry to interrupt. I think your mic might not be working. Do you want to try and reset it quickly?
Anything now? We didn't even do that deliberately to show that digital and technology issues happen and we can all overcome them. What I was saying is, Sue, in your chat comments, you're exactly right. There is elements of these pieces that will work well for some and not work well for others. We actually encourage people to try and use some of them together. And you were saying about not being able to cut and paste the link previously. All of what we put into the chat today will come to you in a follow-up email through the email address that you registered with. But in terms of written advice and step-by-step, making it easier to follow, that brings me to our piece here about we considered that some people will like the auditory component, others will like to step through the steps as an interactive piece on the device itself or wherever you're doing the electronic versions, and others will want to see a hard copy from start to finish about what they're going to be expected to do. So we have created these downloadable PDFs or these documents that you can print off. You can have it next to you as you go through it, or you can have it on your screen and save it for later. But it's very much about being easy to download, able to be printed, and it's specific to your preferred storage option that you choose, and you can follow it at your own pace. As we said, some people we found will go through the PDF but also like to have the audio going at the same time, and for some they will seek to get some further support and perhaps look to a small group assistance from other people. So hopefully that gives you some reassurance, Sue, about that. And I saw Bruce earlier talking about some other options with DigiID. We encourage everyone to look at all the options available to them. These are just ones that are simple steps for those who maybe need a little bit more encouragement and time to practice and build their confidence. We alluded to earlier in our presentation that we do like some feedback, and we do like to hear from people how they are going experiencing the tool. Some of that feedback comes directly through our surveys that we have on the site. Actually, the best ever is social media. We get some very direct comments that help us better improve our offering, and what we continue to do is those most common questions and the more frequently asked questions that we get, we add to this component of Get ePrepared, which is our frequently asked questions. We understand that both digital and legal worlds can be really overwhelming for people. That's been one of the things that they've told us a lot. And there's often a number of questions that people need reassurance on before they engage with digital tools like Get ePrepared. You can see there some of the very common questions that we get asked. The first being about, can I store my documents on Get ePrepared? As I said earlier, this is not an area where we will hold any information. It's very much about making sure you understand where you can store it and take control of it yourself. And in relation to identity being stolen, 100% we understand and acknowledge privacy and security is important for everybody who engages online, and concern can grow for people when they feel like it relates to a legal matter or they're not feeling confident online. So I'd encourage you to take a look at our frequently asked questions and get some further detail of those. We do acknowledge, though, that there'll always be risk, but you can minimise that risk by taking precautions and ensuring that you use things like strong passwords, two-factor authentication, strong security systems, and taking steps yourself to ensure your information's safe. And in terms of certified copies, there's some step-by-step ideas that you can get through a link on the frequently asked questions that I'd encourage you to take a look at. Part of joining Law Week each year is for us to spread the word around what we have to offer. And it's not to just show you how to use Get ePrepared. It's about how you might be able to share it with other people and get involved beyond this session. We don't have any criteria as to who can use Get ePrepared or who can share it. So we ask you to share it as far and wide as you think is necessary with your family, friends, or networks. What you've learned about Get ePrepared today should give you a bit of a taste to go and have a look at it. When you go and have a look at it, hopefully you might take others with you and then share with them recordings even of today's session. You're more than welcome. There's also one from other events that we've had, and if you have registered today, you'll always be offered an opportunity from us to participate in future events. We really do encourage people to help others work through the other steps. We've created communication packs for organisations and community groups that contain information that's ready to go into your newsletters. Or for those of you who are really keen, you could always try and run one of our group sessions. And what you can see on the screen there is a group session kit that we have put together. It is not prescribed that that's the way that people have to follow it, but we were asked to give some guidance around how you might run a session within your own community groups. And as I said before, you'll get all these links within the email that'll follow in the days after this session. You can hear me speeding up a little bit, and that's because when we did this piece last year, we didn't have 2 more brand new offerings around what we could give people to help build their digital skills and legal preparedness. So I want to try and squeeze in 2 other pieces that we've created in the last year. The first is Smart Assist. Now with Smart Assist, we like to ask everybody a question traditionally, but I'm not going to pop another poll in for you today. I'm just going to say the context of it. So usually we'll ask people about how confident they are with AI and whether they think they use it very much. Often people will tell us they don't use it very much at all. And then we will challenge them and say, have you ever started to write something into your phone and then it answers it for you? That's AI at work. So what we have learned over our time is AI is showing up more and more in many areas of people's lives. People aren't always sure that they're using it. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not. Technology is new for a lot of people when it relates to AI, and for some it's worrying how change is occurring in the online world. What we've done with this work with Smart Assist is we've been mindful that people do have concerns about that and some hesitance. So we decided that we would create a tool that would help people to better understand AI, because there is so much that people are being asked to engage with that have got AI, whether it be within the health system, banking, purchasing of goods and accessing government services. When we were doing the 55,000 Australians and increasing, when we were building this digital skills of 55,000 Australians, we decided that it was important to increase people's awareness of AI, how to spot safe and ethical AI and offer a safe place for people to explore it. That is why we built Smart Assist, and it's an AI-based tool that helps people find the right Justice Connect resources for them based on their own description of their legal problem. We know it's important to offer more than a safe, ethical AI tool. So we decided that we would create an educative video that should be simple and easy for most people to understand and help them spot safe and ethical AI. So we thought we might share that little video with you now.
Have you ever wondered what artificial intelligence, or AI, really is? Imagine AI as a helpful assistant that can think and learn like a human, but it lives inside a computer instead of a body. This assistant can help us do all sorts of things, a bit faster and a bit better. You might already be using AI. Have you ever been typing a few words on your phone and had the rest of the sentence suggested for you? That's AI at work. But there are good and bad versions of AI. We want to make sure you're using the safe ones, created and trained by experts who want to help you. Here's what to look for to know if you're using safe and ethical AI. Privacy. AI should respect your privacy and should only use your information to help you, not harm you. Transparency. Good AI will tell you how it works and why it gives you certain suggestions or answers. It should also be monitored and supported by the experts who have created it. Accuracy. Ethical AI should be able to tell you how correct the information it gives you is. If it makes mistakes often, it might not be safe. Fairness. AI should treat everyone fairly, no matter who they are. Understanding this can help you feel more confident when using AI. At Justice Connect, we use technology where it makes sense, like when people are searching for legal help online. It's hard looking for legal help online when you don't know the right words to use. Everyone is different and complex, and so are our legal problems. That's why we built Smart Assist using Justice Connect's own AI model. It takes your own description of the problem you're facing and suggests which part of the legal system are involved. Then, Smart Assist will show you the right self-help resources that may be able to help you understand your legal rights and options. This type of artificial intelligence is called natural language processing. This means the AI learns about how we use language as humans, so that computers can understand and interpret people's text and speech in a meaningful way. Justice Connect's AI model has been trained by experienced lawyers who used over 70,000 anonymous language samples from people just like you. We teach the model what to look for in people's language to see if a legal problem is present and judge how confident we were that the AI has identified this correctly. We also make sure we hear from many different types of people. This is an important step because sometimes AI doesn't perform equally for people from marginalised backgrounds. We went to great lengths to make sure Smart Assist is fair and helpful. You can rest assured that Smart Assist is safe for you to use and won't store any of your personal information. So, if you'd like to experiment with safe, ethical AI, Smart Assist can help you. Check it out at justiceconnect.org.au/help.
So let's see if the microphone's working straight away. There we go. We love that video, and one of the reasons we love that video is we think it really hit the mark. We had tens of thousands of people engage with that video within the first 3 months that it was released, and I think it says a lot about the confusion that people feel with AI and the lack of confidence that they have. And we found that the interest in that educative video itself was actually about one where it was, where's my simple language to understand what it is and how can I try? So we're pretty proud of that, and we encourage you to share that with anyone, even if it's not to use the Smart Assist tool itself, but to be able to identify the safe and ethical AI, I think is really important. As I promised earlier, there's actually 2 things we've done this year that we've released to support community around building their digital skills and their legal preparedness. The second one is a piece that we have considered after a lot of feedback from people around wanting to better understand insurance and disasters. So with the support of Wootton Kearney, one of the fantastic pro bono firms that works with us at JC, we took the step to explore that common area of interest, specifically understanding insurance and disaster. And here it is. We released this one in April 2025. It's available in our self-help resource library. With this, we combined a bit of Get ePrepared and a bit of the educative video, and we created a resource that has both written information outlining the importance of understanding your insurance coverage, particularly when you're faced with a disaster. But it also has a series of 6 short videos that guide users in how to create digital inventory of their belongings. The resource looks at making sure that you understand the circumstances you're in around your insurance, but the videos go through the step-by-step elements of how to build those digital skills or build a digital inventory to show what you own, and what it is that you have insured and that's important to you in terms of your belongings, and to work with your insurance companies around any claims you may need to make. The steps that you will see in these 6 videos are one specifically around even how to capture and store images of your belongings, how to prove what they are. Things like making sure that if you've got a high value item, that you have a copy of the receipt or something else that proves that you own that item. So very much encourage you to go along and have a look at that. And we will again share the links to that in our email that will follow up after this session. Oh, I was very worried, Emily, that we were going to run out of time there for the questions that are popping up in the Q&A section. We are mindful. It is a lot that we've got to talk about, and we really appreciate that people have been adding to the comments along the way. And so, Emily, would you like to join me in having a look at some of these questions? I'll just bring them over here so I don't look like I'm side-eyeing you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lisa. So we've had one question, which is, and I think it was mentioned in the chat as well, how is Get ePrepared different from something like MyGov or MyID, which is a really great question. For us, we thought it was really important that we were developing something that offered people choice. And we have heard some feedback from community members who maybe aren't as comfortable using tools like MyGov or MyID. For those who are comfortable with that, it's a great option, as it will allow your identity documents to be verified and stored in a centralized place. But more important than that, we think people should be able to have the choice of where that data and documents are stored. That's why Get ePrepared talks about using some of those different, more common options, as well as something that's maybe a bit more physical, if that gives someone more comfort when they're preparing for a disaster. So it's a great question, and we're certainly encourage people to look into those options like MyGov and MyID. But we also want to make sure that there's information out there for people who that doesn't suit their needs.
And I think, Emily, it'd be fair to say that from the outset of this project, there's been lots of conversations about apps. And I see there that, Bruce, you've talked about your experience with New South Wales SES and some of the other things that you use. When we've been talking about this tool in particular, it was created to be something that's for those who don't even have the confidence to step forward and use apps. So some people may only use their phones and their devices to engage with family for video calls or perhaps phone calls, and it's how do we step it through. And I think we would love people to get to the point that they are confident enough to use those apps. And also interesting to note, not every app includes every one of the 93 documents that are on our checklist. And it was some of the feedback we got from users as well was, I'd love to use that app, but it doesn't talk anything about my animals. I'd love to use that app, but it doesn't talk about my tenancy agreement. So we've tried to make it as flexible as possible and could work in harmony with those as well.
All right, we have one other question that we'll just squeeze an answer into. Bruce has asked if we have any resources or materials on end-of-life planning, so wills or powers of attorneys. We do, Bruce. We have a resource that's called our Conversations Guide, and it's for future planning, and we'll send a link to you in the chat, and hopefully you'll find that useful. It allows you to start having conversations with the people in your life about what you want your life to look like as you age, and how you can put in place legal documents that can help you enshrine your wishes. And finally, one more question, which is Justice Connect on Blue Sky? Blue Sky is a social media channel, and we are not on Blue Sky, but you can find us on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and on Facebook.
I see. Sue, in the chat, you've got a couple of questions there about technical help, etc. The tool that we've created is digital and online and self-paced, but there are links through some of our items around how to get further support in other areas and where to get help. So we encourage you to take a look at that, and feel free to engage with us, because The next slide I think that will come up is about how to contact us and how to get some more information from us. Have you got that there, Kim? We will definitely, you'll see that email address, and I know you had trouble earlier around being able to copy and paste, but it very much is the email address that you've received all the invites from for this event when you registered. It's my email. Feel free to make contact through there and ask some more of those questions if need be. But we very much are always looking at how we can improve and where we can improve. Just looking for, we will also be sending out after this session with the email a survey that you'll be able to complete, and we've got reference to that here. And yep, that's exactly right, Sue. As you said, you can't, you're having some trouble cutting and pasting from the chat today, but it will come in the email. The email will incorporate every single link that we've shared with you today, and it'll show where those PDFs are. There won't necessarily be all of the content in one PDF, but you can download the elements. And I'd love to see, once that's come through to you, Sue, if you'd like to give me, make some contacts with me, and we'll walk through if there was anything missing for you from that. And we truly appreciate everyone who's participated today. And don't forget, Law Week goes all the way to Friday, and there's tons of really good stuff on. Thanks so much for your time, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Take care.